Hi, I'm CBW,
Thank Callum.
and this is the High Ground Podcast. And okay, a couple of weeks ago, I got hit by the bullet that I've been dodging for so long because everybody, Callum, and my fiance have been moaning on and on and on and on and on and on that I should be watching Game of Thrones, a series that started in 2011 that I dodged for so long, and I'm now on. And I want to get through this because here's the thing: if you're in a relationship with someone that moans on at you that we always watch the stuff you want to watch, when are we going to watch some of the stuff that I want to watch? And you keep putting it off by saying, "Oh, let's watch this, let's watch that, let's watch the other." And you get to the point where you actually have to watch Game of Thrones because she's not going to let it go.
No, I wouldn't have either.
Okay, so I'm now on season 2, just watched as of recording. This is a good thing about IMDb. Was it episode 5 I said earlier?
Yeah, the Ghosts of Harrenhal.
Yeah, Harrenhal. You know, anytime I hear names like that, and was it just based on a story of fire and ice?
A Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah, that reminds me of a line from when Terry and Jake meet their hero writer.
Oh yeah.
And
I think it's definitely supposed to be based on that.
yeah, and when I saw that title come up and you hear some of the names, all I think is Terry and Jake.
Yeah.
And all the geeks and J.R.R.
George R.
Yeah, getting laid. Don't know if he does. Don't quote me on that. But all I think of is that. And so yeah, I'm 5 episodes into season 2.
That's the great thing about Game of Thrones, I think, though, and the books as well. I mean, you immediately come with it. Like fantasy has a preconception, whether you like to admit it or not. You know, like how do you feel about Lord of the Rings? You know, that's a common thing. You know, I hate dragons and stuff like that. Whereas Game of Thrones is more like I don't know, it's more like a historical fiction than it is a fantasy. You know, it works more like a something. Yeah, it's based on the War of the Roses, and you can see that there's real history included in it. You know, like to do with kings and dynasties and stuff like that. And then the fantasy stuff is the background, which is quite a weird thing to have in fantasy. I think that's what really works about it. You can come at it not liking fantasy, and wow, that's a good show.
It's kind of been. Bear in mind, I'm watching American Gods at the moment, and that's violence and nudity and violence. But to me, American Gods seems to be a little bit more structure to it and less titillation. And as I said, I've been told it gets less with the nudity.
It does, yeah.
But at the moment, especially the first season, here's a pretty girl. Here she is, naked. Here is Aquaman. Here is Aquaman. So Jason Momoa. Here's Jason Momoa covering everything up but his dong. And I'm like thinking, this is made so that all the single geeks out there have got something to perv over, and I've got a little bit of bathroom material to.
Yeah, it's a bit over the top in the first season,
Yeah.
but I still think every show you see now though seems to be trying to imitate that. Every show you watch now has a lot of shagging in it,
Yeah.
And they sort of think it passes the story, and it just makes me think of Game of Thrones. Like, I mean, the violence, the sex, the on HBO do that anyway, don't they? But
yeah.
I think the two big shows at the time running concurrently was that and Walking Dead, and they were both pushing the envelope for what you could show on telly. I mean, Walking Dead's not is violent, is gory, but there's no swearing or sex, so AMC are quite funny about that. Whereas HBO just like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, and it's like when you're watching and you go, I recognize him. And it's like, oh, Doctor Who, or I recognize him, Doctor Who.
Yeah, there's loads of them. But you know, Harry Potter actors as well.
Yeah.
As you go along, you'll be like, oh my god, there he is.
You mean like Natalie Tennant and
yeah,
what's his name, Julian Glover.
Julian Glover. Yeah, there's more to come.
I'm like, I mean, he's only been in one episode so far, 1 or 2 episodes. David Bradley, who I've been told is a nasty person, and I'm like, oh, David Bradley, the Doctor.
Nice guy.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to actually watching him because I like him. I think he's brilliant.
Oh, he's fucking screen magnetism. Like when he's on, you love him, but he's horrible. Like there's characters in this where you'll be going, please die.
Yeah, I mean, the only character, like I said, I'm on season 2, episode 5 as of recording. The only truly likable characters is Maisie Williams, Peter Dinklage, and who's his name? So is it Jerome? Jerome Flynn. I like those three.
Ron.
Those three are the only three because really likable characters. Because Maisie Williams, because from the arc so far that I've seen is she seems to be she's the little warrior who just wants to get home. Then you've got Peter Dinklage. He seems to be honest. He has his motivations, but he seems to be the honest one. He seems to be playing both sides.
He admits that he has motivations, and the rest of them are all just sort of hiding behind. King's Landing is just a viper's pit.
Yeah.
But he knows how to get through it because he's not lying about who he is. Yeah, I mean, the great thing about Game of Thrones, and you experience this as well, is everyone's character changes at some point or goes through such an arc that they're not. I mean, obviously, a character arc is you start somewhere and you end at a different place, but there's a lot of switching around where you'll there'll be characters where you'll like them and then you'll be like, oh, I don't like him anymore. Or there'll be characters where you think, hate that guy, and then later on you'll be thinking, I kind of like him now. Actually, it's realistic in that sense because George Martin said he liked characters that he said in real life sometimes bad people do good things, sometimes good people do bad things. That's how it is. There is no good and evil sort of thing.
But people like to pigeonhole things as one and not the other.
Yeah, I mean, classical fantasy is very much good versus evil, isn't it?
Yeah. But I did like Jerome Flynn's.
He's great. He is fucking fantastic.
Yeah. But
and the Hound as well. You gotta love the Hound.
Michael.
Yeah, it's just that the C word just pours out of that guy's mouth throughout the whole series.
I've only seen him a few times so far, and every time I see him, I just go yarp.
Yarp, yeah. Yarp. You do see him a lot more later, but it's just every time he's on screen, it's just gold.
And Gwendolyn Christie, she's pretty.
She's fantastic in it. Even from right away, even in the books, Brienne's a really good character.
So I like her. She's loyal. From what I've seen, because she's only been like 2 episodes, she's loyal. So
very loyal, yeah. And it's nice. It's good to do like a strong woman.
Yeah.
Because she's like a physically strong woman, whereas you've got characters like Cersei that are strong in terms of, using their advantages like politics and sex and that. Whereas Brienne's just like I'll kick the fuck out of you if you cross me.
I like the arc when the king that she loved gets killed and she loved him, and I thought that's what.
Oh, Renly, yeah. R.I.P. Renly. I always thought Renly would have been the best king out of all of them.
He was. Yeah, and but killing off Sean Bean, that's gross.
It's not like you didn't see it coming though.
No, he does everything. And that blonde king.
Oh, Joffrey.
Yeah, I just thought, when he gets his, it'll be good. I know he's only not in all the episodes, but Charles Dance, he adds gravity to everything.
I love Tywin Lannister. I think he's one of the best characters in the whole show.
I don't know what his arc is yet, but like I said, I'm only episode 5 on season 2. But anytime he eats the screen whenever he's on.
Oh, it's his voice as well, isn't it? Yeah. Like, he's so he sounds like a teacher talking down to you.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine growing up under that guy. Even his favorite son, sometimes thinks, "Fuck this guy." Yeah. Imagine when it was being Tyrion.
Yeah, I like him. I mean, and the fact that they're always referring to him as the imp and because of his size and everything, and it's just, he gives as an actor, I think he's brilliant.
Yeah, that delivery when he's talking about, in the first ever episode when Jon Snow calls him the imp, and he's just not bothered, and he just says bit of advice bastard, like wear your insecurities as an armor, and then no one can ever hurt you.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a great like idea.
I thought I like. I mean, I don't know if his character turns or anything, but I like his art as he's at the moment. I just think his character is, like I said, it's just one of the strongest.
Yeah, he's definitely. I mean, Ned's always been my favorite character, even though he's only in the first season. But it quickly switches to Peter Dinklage, and they called him Robert Dinklage.
It was something I didn't like, which is see, this is
like going the long queue on that one.
What's
now
that?
that it's finished.
No, well, well, in this sense, I know it's not that. It was something I had so far I didn't like, which it just slipped my mind. Which it'll come back to me when we do the next one version of this on the next one. But yeah, no. So yeah, this has been ad lib. We did this. We're doing this bit of a podcast on the fly. But yeah, it will come back to me. But yeah. There's a lot of prostitution in that period of time, isn't there?
Yeah. I mean, that's where you sort of recognise what periods of time they're trying to copy. I mean, I always think King's Landing is like Rome. You know, like there's prostitutes everywhere in the excess, and then the North is like War of the Roses, Civil War kind of thing. It's just, that's why it feels like it does actually feel like a weld for a change rather than Middle-earth. Doesn't really feel like one, does it?
Middle-earth is 4 hours too long, and that's just the first one.
Times 3.
6.
Well, Hobbit's rubbish though, isn't it?
I just forced the extended cuts. That's 24 hours of my life I'll never get back.
Well, that's interesting though. Like, I know you're not a fan of Lord of the Rings by any stretch at all. So, do you think this is much better than and different than
that? In terms of construction, in production value, I mean, they're both good, but Lord of the Rings, of course, because it is movies, you know.
Yeah.
But, and this is gonna, I'm not a prude. I'm not a prude by a long shot, and I'm also not. But saying what I'm going to say next is I'm not a pervert either. But I thought that at times in the earlier episodes, especially, that if I was filming it, I would have done either some choices I would have made differently, and it all revolves around the nudity, because I thought it was unnecessary. But I also understand that some of your key demographic is going to be the ones that will come back and watch it because the nudity on it, and which is a good selling point. It's like years ago I started to watch Doctor Who, the Matt Smith one after Junior, because I heard so many good things about Doctor Who, so I watched 1 or 2 episodes, then I switched it off because I thought the only reason I'm watching it is because I find that hot ginger hot, and then I stopped watching it. I thought that's the whole reason we're watching it. Stop watching it. But I understand now that I should have persevered with Doctor Who on that one because I like the construction, but I do feel that I do find some of the stuff distracting.
Yeah, I do get that criticism. I mean, they took that on board and changed it, second season onwards. But I always, like Martin even said, like the other side of that coin is that the reason he put, like, because the books are quite explicit as well. I mean, they're not like 50 Shades or anything like that. It's just like he just said, like, well, why is there no sex in Lord of the Rings? Where do all these people come from? Does Tolkien we just think they appear out of the ground?
Yeah.
I think like the criticism with all that was that there was too simple, like good and evil moralities, and you never do see any romance really happening in Lord of the Rings, do you? So I think that was like his fighting back against that. But I think because HBO did it, they're obviously quite. They don't really have any censorship, do they? So
I do find that the sexual stuff in Game of Thrones is a lot more erotic than in I've only watched the first one, the first 50 Shades, so that they managed to get the eroticism right.
Yeah, 50 Shades is just mum porn.
But I remember
And you couldn't ideally realistically make a film of that without it being pornography.
no. I remember I was going to say earlier, the one thing I didn't like so far in Game of Thrones is Mark Addy's character.
Oh, do you not like Robert? I
liked him, but I didn't like the fact that he was so stupid he didn't realise that his sons were not his sons. I thought that's the thing I didn't like. I thought that was a bit too far-fetched. Because you could tell...
Well, I always sort of read it that he did know, but he just was too ashamed to say anything because it would undermine his manhood and stuff like that. And he's pissed half the time as well.
Yeah. But it was kind of... That was the thing that I was saying earlier, that I remember it came back to me. That's the one thing. But, you know... I like the production. I mean, I like trying to figure out what's... I mean, I'm assuming the budget's not going to be huge because the amount of episodes. So they've gone for a lot of practical, and they've gone for a lot of green screen, and it's just trying to... I love it when I love seeing how corners can be cut. You know, and I like, you know, using old buildings or using old areas.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing Game of Thrones is really good for, even later on when they have bigger budgets, is there's still a lot of practical effect. You know, there's thousands of stuntmen and horses, you know, you can generally tell that's what... I mean, the CG is fucking really good as well later on. I mean, even that improves dramatically. The dragons look fantastic later on, but I mean, I think they do really well with what they had in the early seasons, because obviously it wasn't massively famous then.
But I like it. I like and this goes to, and this is one of the things which I really want to do in another podcast, is I like when I call it the Doctor Who thing, is that I like, and this is if you don't like Doctor Who, this is one reason to watch Doctor Who, is when you look at what's effects, what's green screen, what's studio, what's practical. And I like looking at it, because I know, because I've done research and everything, that when I go to a filming location, I can go, well, this is where they filmed this, and this is where they've done that, this is where they went to a stately home, and they put a green screen up, and they just so that they could add a little bit to the backdrop, because this bit's practical. And it's watching Game of Thrones and going, well, is this one of these things where they just put up a bit of a green screen just so they could add to it later? There's an episode of Doctor Who with Maisie Williams in, where she plays I think she's a Viking or something, but it's actually filmed in a medieval village in the middle of Wales. And it's good. So it's good trying to figure out, with a show like this, where there's definitely a lot of location photography, is finding out and seeing how they did it, and actually trying to spot the effects. Not that I'm trying to do it in a negative way, but I just find it, you know, that sort of things, that kind of construction fascinates me, and it adds to the realism. It does. And when it comes to the digital effects, I haven't yet to find something that's actually made me go, well, that's dodgy. Whereas I can say that with some of the Doctor Who episodes, even some of the recent ones. You go, well, that's a bit dodgy. But so far, I've yet to find something that... We're talking going back to 2011, 2012. I haven't found anything that's dodgy. For the record, I've watched the last episode, which I watched because I was sitting down and doing something else while the boss was watching it. And, and I follow the philosophy, if you don't like the ending, keep your mouth shut. Most people do like it. But that's just my opinion.
I don't have a problem with the ending, to be honest, but obviously I'm wrong according to the internet.
No, you're wrong because you're in the minority. The majority. You're in the majority. I saw something that said that it's the minority who are the vocal ones who are heard, because the majority just don't have the time. Don't want to. We love the show. Why would we want to kick up a stink? Why you're not going to change my opinion? And I don't like it when people try and force their opinions. One person trying to force their opinion on 100 people to change their opinions, and you get the ones that will go like
signing petitions and
I think it was Sophie Turner that said it's insulting.
Yeah,
to all these people that put so much time and effort into it. The people, I would say, if you need to do better, do it yourself. Write your own thing.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
Yeah, but a lot of the thing is, a lot of people, especially now, feel that they're entitled, that they have ownership on a project. They have to change it if it's not right. The amount of crap you find on YouTube about you can't switch it on with it saying such and such is going to redo the Star Wars, the new Star Wars films.
Yeah,
Eventually it'll be season 8 of. It'll be like it's rumored that such and such is on board to redo season 8 of Game of Thrones. It's all clickbait, like you said.
Yeah, I hate YouTube channels like that where like the thumbnail is just to get you to click it, and it's just them talking about their opinion. Or like what we were saying recently as well, videos that annoy us is explained videos, like the ending of so and so explained. I don't know.
I just watched the episode. I know how I think it ends, and if my opinion, I don't really how you think it should have ended. It's or how the studio inside is, because all these people that have got so much time that they've read all the books and they've done everything. People don't realize that things are supposed to be accessible to people that don't read all the books, that don't go into the folklore. It's got to be accessible. Yeah. And if you want to read fan theories with sources that are bullshit or a load of rubbish, it frustrates me.
I mean, I don't have a problem with fan theories per se, in the sense of like, where you come together and say, oh, it'd be cool if this was that. That's just discussion, isn't it? Like, you're just having fun. But yeah, when people start saying this is canon and that's canon, and piss off.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was watching this show on Friday, and the character said something, and afterwards, me and the boss, the fiance, were debating it. And it was obviously something that bugged me. And I was at the paid job on Saturday, and I was like, "Oh, that's the answer." So as soon as I finished work, I was like, "I got the answer." I said something we completely didn't think. This is it. I think this is going to be this. We don't go me posting it all over on the internet about, here is the ending of this. Who I think this is a theory, because if I'm right about this theory, then I don't want anybody else to know, because it might ruin it for them.
Yeah.
But everybody else has got to get out there, because I know something you don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying culture, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. But that's my little rant. That's why I'm kind of lucky that other than the ending of Game of Thrones, and of course when you click on say Kit Harington, it's just the first name that came up because I've got IMDb up on the screen. If I click on Kit Harington now, I know that he's in, by scrolling down, 62 episodes of Game of Thrones. So you get an idea as to how long people are going to be in the show by seeing how many episodes they're in.
Yeah.
But the only comes up when you're curious. It's like Samwell Tarly. That sounds like a very Lord of the Rings name, Samwell Tarly.
It is definitely supposed to be Samwise Gamgee. And his name's John Bradley, and I used to get him mixed up with Dave Bradley constantly, like name-wise.
He's in 48 episodes. And David Bradley is, how many episodes is he in? David Bradley. He's an actor in The World's End. Do you know that?
What? Not Pirates of the Caribbean.
No, David Bradley. He was in a film called The World's End and Hot Fuzz.
Oh yeah, Mad Basil. Yeah.
Yeah, I was being funny. We all know because we're big hot. Listeners, I was being funny then because we are both big Cornetto Trilogy fans.
Mad Basil fans.
Mad Basil. 3 episodes of Doctor Who. Where is it? Wait, is this one going down? I'm trying to figure out what period is 2011. Game of Thrones, where are you on here? He's in 6 episodes of Game of Thrones. Pardon?
Isn't Matt Smith 2011?
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah, I thought he'd been that series. Yeah. That is Matt Smith's, yeah. Game of Thrones, he's in from 2011 to 2017, 6 episodes. So, yeah. he's good, but yeah. So you get an idea if you click on an actor's name. It's like Finn Jones, unrecognizable. He is. I was like, when you told me Finn Jones was in it, I was like, wow. But when you look at him in there, he's so young. Then you look at him as Danny Rand, it's like he grew up.
He's got short hair in that as well, though, hasn't he? Iron Fist.
Yeah. But
so it's. I think the sort of the long hair makes him look a lot different.
He looks like he looks like he hasn't seen a razor in his life.
He does, yeah.
Young. And I was like, nah. Then like we could get like, plus he lost a bit of weight since he did between the two. Because he looks a little bit chubby.
Yeah.
And not that I've got any issues with people that are chubby, because he says like you're chubby or fat. He does look a little bit bigger in Game of Thrones than he does. A bit like Chris Pratt before he did Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that Donald Sumpter, Maester Lewin.
He's been in quite a few things.
Yeah, I recognised him from. I mean, he's in how many episodes of Game of Thrones? 14 episodes of Game of Thrones, and all I remember him from is an episode of Doctor Who, where he's.
Yeah, I've only ever seen him in an episode of. Like, I've never seen him. He's like one of those guys, you know, like, oh, I've seen that guy before.
He's the president in Hellbent. He is, which is an absolute brilliant episode. She also stars Maisie Williams is in that episode.
Oh, is she?
Yeah. I don't think they share no, they don't share a scene together, but they are in the same episode. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's sometimes I find it a hard watch, and I
think it's hard for like the amount of information they give you in the early seasons. But once you're used to who everyone is and what house is what, it's all being natural.
So yeah, what we'll do is, because there's 8 seasons, yeah, I'm halfway through season 2. We'll try and do another one at say season 4.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, like I said, this has all been on this. This has been a little bit of on the off the cuff podcast. So I'm going to say first impressions of Game of Thrones or something like that. Probably have the title change. So that's been one of probably 4. And before we do our natural, which we'll end up eventually doing a real podcast. When I say real, you know what I mean. Everybody knows what I mean.
Yeah.
So I'm Stevie W. I've just started watching Game of Thrones, and we'll see you on another podcast like this.
Yeah, and I'm Callum, and I'm really happy about it.
Cheers.